Giants fans, before we start today's show, I got to be honest with you guys. Here at the Chat Sports Studios, it's competition week. So if you love the Giants, I need you to like this video. Hit that thumbs up icon because it's us versus the Dallas Cowboys report hosted by Tom Downey. We had a sub battle this week, and we won that one pretty easy, as you see the numbers on screen. But if you see the likes on Tom Downey's last video, they're almost at 950, and we got to beat that. So if you love the Giants and you hate the Dallas Cowboys, I'm asking nicely. If you could hit that thumbs up icon, I'd appreciate it because I always want to beat the Dallas Cowboys. What up, everybody? Hope you're having a good weekend, or whenever you're watching this video, hope you're having a good day. Wanted to do a little bit of a different video here on the channel. I was going through some draft stuff this week, watching some highlights, looking at some analytics, and I think it's obvious that the Giants need another wide receiver on this team for a multitude of reasons. But I believe there is one wide receiver in the NFL draft that could absolutely change the offense for the New York Football Giants. We'll tell you that is in a second, but let's tell you why I think that this wide receiver could change everything for Big Blue. Last year, Giants 20-plus yard pass plays. They had just 28 of them, which was the last in the NFL. They were the dead last ranked most explosive passing offense in the National Football League. And there's a whole bunch of reasons why that came to the forefront. Daniel Jones didn't have a lot of time to throw. They didn't really have a lot of deep threats, and they didn't really have any receivers that could get active and generators with the football in their hands after they caught it. So how can we fix that? We'll break that down. But this is a fact of life. Explosive plays equals wins. The more explosive plays you have in a season, the more points you're going to have. At the end of the day, the more points you have, the more likely you are going to win. So we're going to go through some rankings right now. When you look at the top 10 teams in the NFL that had the most explosive pass plays plus their 2022 record, you'll see somewhat a theme here. Look at the Kansas City Chiefs. They were the most explosive passing offense. They went 14-3. The Eagles, they were second, 14-3. Buffalo Bills, 13-3. Cincinnati Bengals, 12-4. The San Francisco 49ers, 13-4. I think you could argue that those were the best five teams in the National Football League. The Dolphins, they were explosive. Minnesota, there's a reason they won so many close games, except in the playoffs. Sorry, Seeps. Number 8, the Tennessee Titans. The Raiders are the outlier right there, but if 90% of this list is upheld, I think it means something. But what means even more is when you look at 23 through 32, there's only one team on this list that made the playoffs, and that is the New York Giants. And explosive plays in total pass plays in this algorithm, which really took out when the game was over and not within a 10-point scoring margin anymore. The Giants were second to last, and they were 9-7-1. The total record of teams that ranked 23 to 32 in explosive pass plays were 59-107. They won just 35% of their games. So what does that tell you? The Giants need to be more explosive because it's going to be hard to repeat the results they had this year, like getting to the playoffs, getting in the wild card, winning a playoff game if they don't have a more explosive offense. So this draft receiver, the guy I think that can change the offense is someone I'll tell you about in a second. But first, I got to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, and that is Fume. Go to tryfume.com/chatsports and use code chatsports for 10% off the Journey Pack today. Our sponsor, Fume, is on a mission to accelerate humanity's breakup from the bad habits that consume far too many of us. Fume is a natural diffusive device that uses plants and behavioral science to help you trade out your negative habit for a positive one. I didn't expect much out of Fume when I got it, but the minty sensation in all 3 flavors in the Journey Pack is awesome. Fume is not a vape. It's a non-electronic device designed to transform your negative habits. The easiest way to stop a bad habit is to switch to a positive one, and Fume is designed perfectly to do just that. Head to tryfume.com/chatsports and use code chatsports to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. The Journey Pack comes with 3 unique flavors: white cranberry, maple pepper, and crisp mint. That is tryfum.com/chatsports and use code chatsports to get 10% off. That link's in the comments and description of today's show. Without further ado, the receiver I'm talking about is Jalin Hyatt out of Tennessee. And you might say, well, Marshall, he's not even a guy that's going to go in round 1. And I don't think he will go in round 1. I think he'll be on the board when the Giants are there in round 2. 6 foot at the combine, 176 pounds, and he ran a 4.40 flat. Sure, you might say that's not even that fast. One, that is extremely fast, but go watch his tape after this video. He is football fast, and you can tell it. And the stats, they reflect that. When you saw what he did in 12 games for the Volunteers last year, all he did was have big plays. 67 grabs, 1,267 yards, 19 yards per catch, and he had 15 touchdowns. And his longest catch of the year was 78 yards. But how does this reflect to the New York Giants and the stats we talked about earlier? Well, when you talk about explosive plays, Jalin Hyatt was the best in the business. He had 15 catches this year that were more than 30 yards. He had 11 catches this year that were more than 40 yards. He had 7 that were more than 50. And the fact that he had 5 catches that were more than 60 yards is incredible. 633 of his yards are considered deep yards. That's more than a 20-plus yard reception. And he did it against the best of the best in the SEC, and especially Nick Saban and the Crimson Tide. That is one of the best games you will ever see from a prospect like Jalin Hyatt. 6 receptions, 228 yards, 34.5 yards per catch, and 5 touchdowns. Hyatt also led the SEC in catches of 20-plus yards with 20. 20 catches of more than 20 yards. Jalin Hyatt is a difference maker, and I think he's a wide receiver that the Giants don't really have on this roster. The closest would be Darius Slayton. He's probably the best deep threat that you had, but you have nobody that can really put pressure on opposing safeties like Hyatt. When Hyatt is on the football field, he scares defensive coordinators to death. When he is on the field, everybody's got to be like, it's like when you go to a pickup basketball game and you see a guy play for a couple games, you're like, shooter, shooter. That's Jalin Hyatt. This is like speed demon. Everybody's first step on the defense has to be back, and that helps everyone on the offense. First, it helps the offensive line. Why? Because you can't blitz as much when Jalin Hyatt is on the football field. It helps Daniel Jones because he gives him an easy touchdown maybe once every 3 games. It also helps Saquon Barkley in this run game because 9 times out of 10, and if you don't, he's going to burn you deep like he did the Alabama Crimson Tide. Saquon Barkley is going to face boxes with less people in them because you have to have more people going backwards if Hyatt is on the football field. And I think he can be had in round 2, maybe even round 3. Passing up on him in round 2 could be questionable because you never know if he's going to get back to you in round 3. But I really hope the Giants take a good, long, hard look at Jalin Hyatt with one of their 10 draft picks in the NFL draft. I wouldn't take him at pick number 25 because I do have some concerns about his game. He's always wide open somehow. Is that because of him? Is that because of the speed? Is that because of the offense they ran in Tennessee? Maybe you pick him at 57. I would be okay if Hyatt was the pick at 57. You got him at pick 89 in the 3rd round. That could be the steal of the draft. And the reason I think that Hyatt could help out this offense so much is because prior to this season, Daniel Jones was one of the best passing quarterbacks when it comes to deep passing efficiency. Since 2020, you look at this chart, there's a whole bunch of numbers that you probably don't understand. I don't even really understand it. But I know this. The more you are to the right and the more you are up, so deep right, the more you are on this list, like Daniel Jones, who is furthest to the right, and one of the highest, the furthest to the right is EPA, estimated points added per dropback. This list shows that Daniel Jones, since 2020, this stat was prior to this season, I couldn't find it on this season, was one of the best deep passing quarterbacks in the National Football League. And if you pair him with a guy like Darren Waller, who's an explosive player they just added, Jalin Hyatt, who's an explosive player they just added, this Giants offense could look totally different. And I honestly think Hyatt, he could save this Giants offense and make them a Super Bowl contender. What about this, though? Do you think the Giants should draft him? Should the Giants draft Jalin Hyatt in the 2023 NFL draft? Type D for draft, type P for pass. If he's there in the 2nd round, I'd love for Jalin Hyatt to be a New York Football Giant. We appreciate everybody for tuning in to today's show. Shout out to the real ones. Let's get a real one roll call going in today's video. If you made it this far in the video, comment real one so I know who finished the show today.